Hey everyone, thanks for coming along tonight. My name's V. V for Victor. And I'm going to save your life tonight. That's right. Because if there's a disaster, you'll remember the advice that I'm about to give you. Can you remember at least one thing? And that is, make sure you bring your tin taps. Tonight, I will save your life. Not by performing CPR or applying snakebite bandages, which I can do, by the way, but by disaster planning. Before I get into it, here's a little bit of info about me. I flew into Cairns on a big jet plane about 23 years ago. I know I don't look that old. It was the middle of winter. A bit cold in Sydney, but when I landed up here, the weather was magnificent. I thought I'd stepped into a tropical paradise. Instead, I arrived in the land of Crocs. And I don't mean the shoes. Oh, hang on, how's it come on? Are you tap? Come on, well. It's gone, where did it go? There you go. You like my new shoes? They're cool, huh? Cairns. The place where winter is just a rumour. And the Crocs are more than just a fashion statement. Forget about the welcome to Cairns signs. They should just put up a giant billboard that says, beware, flip-flops and Crocs ahead. I've lived in Cairns for over 20 years. But still can't call myself a local. Apparently the only way to be called a local is to be born here. Did I hear something in the back there? So I guess I'll just keep walking around, supporting the All Blacks, and copying stupid Aussie jokes like, hey V, say fish and chips. I can't even say it anymore. I've been in Australia for too long. Any other Kiwis here? Excellent. All right, flip the page. So finally, thanks guys. Let's talk about disaster planning. The irony about disaster or planning for disasters for me, I was still writing this talk this morning. Can you tell? So if you think disaster planning is easy, just remember the true secret of disaster planning. Embrace the chaos. Laugh at the glitches. And remember that even the experts occasionally stumble on their punchlines. So speaking of disasters, it's SES week right now, but that's not a disaster. I planned it that way, of course. What is SES week? SES is an acronym for State Emergency Service, and is primarily made up of volunteers who are professionally trained and turn up to disasters to assist communities in their worst times. SES Week is dedicated to recognising the amazing volunteers who help their communities during disasters. And they do it for free. I'm an SES volunteer. And I've been in the service for over 14 years because I love planning for disasters and saving lives. This very special photo of me was taken 11 years ago after a search in the mudflats at the northern end of the Cairns Esplanade. Anyone who knows the area knows there are Crocs around there, but it was okay because there were police with guns. They were overseeing our mudsliding. Considering they were the ones who requested SES to search the area, it's only fair that they were looking out for our safety. And they didn't want to get their boots dirty. After this photo, I got hosed off by the fireys in their big red truck. That's how emergency services all work together. In case you're wondering, you might have seen in the media, SES in the media looking for missing people, or cleaning up after floods. And we do all that and more. This one was a forensic search. we were looking for evidence relating to a missing person. It'd been missing for many years, but I don't believe we actually found anything that day. But we achieved our mission, which was to search an area. So that is success for us. But I've grown up a little bit since then. And guess what? I won an award. Yeah. So just last weekend, as I mentioned, it's SES week this week, so I totally planned that too. At the Far Northern Week SES Awards, the Far Northern Region SES Week Awards ceremony on Sunday, I received an SES Week Award for my dedication to the SES and my desire to make improvements in all aspects from operational response to training requirements. This is a peer-nominated award, and it is amazing to receive the acknowledgement from volunteers that I work alongside. I mean, who knew that my obsession for disaster planning and my desire towards snacks and supplies would land me an award? SES volunteers don't do this for the recognition, and I'm not bragging, but I do have medals, citations, pins, commemorative coins, and commissioner commendations to show off my achievements with SES. Pretty proud of that. But what it really boils down to is this. Behind every successful SES volunteer is a stash of lollies and Tim Tams. Now, let me share my top 3 tips for disaster planning that will save your life. Are you ready? Yes. Take notes. The SES volunteers in the audience will pull out your Take 5 notebook. Right now. Number 1, know your risk. Like, if you live near a crocodile farm, maybe skip the late night movie swims. Just a thought. Number 2, decide in advance if you will evacuate early. If Livio's weather report starts sounding like a horror movie, it might be time to pack your bags and your snacks. Number 3, know your evacuation route. Like to the nearest pub, with a good view of the storm and a great beer. Thanks, McAllisters. When SES mobilises, it's with a mix of excitement and nerves. We're like adrenaline junkies. But instead of bungee jumping, we're jumping into the eye of the storm. Hey, who's excited to face tropical cyclone Jasper? Half of us are like, that wasn't in the brochure. But the other half of us are like, yes, this is why we do it. That's me. And I know that guy over there does as well. You'll get to meet him a little bit later. So let me tell you about the time that I navigated a floodboat through the streets of Brisbane during the Brisbane floods in 2011. It was like playing Mario Kart. Look out for the floating fridge. Is that a car or a traffic light under there, just under the surface? We had to duck down under the boat to go under the power lines. It was unreal, after the floods receded, to drive around those streets where we'd been floating just days earlier and realising that the thing that the prop on the boat kept hitting was actually the top of the chain metal fence. Who put that there? But seriously, this kid was just one of the many people who were saved during that disaster and many other disasters, thanks to SES volunteers who dedicate hundreds of hours to train for and activate during the community's worst times. And we'll continue to do it while there continues to be disasters. That's me skippering the boat. And you can see an improvised launch site in the background. It's the middle of a 4-lane road. Oh, and how about this trophy that I won my first year with the SES? The Sid Churchill Challenge. It's a memorial to a local policeman who was a staunch SES supporter and volunteer leader in the Cairns region who held the rank of local controller. The challenge is an annual round-robin style competition of between 6 to 8 teams who fight for the honour of receiving this prestigious trophy. As you can see, there's quite a few badges up there already. My team won this in 2010, and we were like, we're not just saving lives, we're also competing for trophies. Forget the Olympics, this is where the real glory is, and there's always food afterwards. But through it all, I've learned that life is like disaster planning. It's unpredictable. One minute you're enjoying the sunshine, the next you're navigating a flood, or sitting on top of a house that's had its roof blown off. Like the one on the screen. This one is at South Mission Beach, after cyclone Yasi in 2011. So if you ever find yourself in a disaster, and you will, let's be honest, just remember my advice. It will one day save your life. Not with CPR or snake bite bandages, but with planning and a packet of Tim Tams. And a good laugh. Now, just before I get bumped off the stage, looking around the room today reminds me that I have just one more thing to say, one more story to tell. There's a few of my SES colleagues here tonight, but there's one missing. I'll call her Scotty. Scotty is responsible for getting me here tonight. She was so excited about seeing me on stage and perform that she turned up early. Scotty messaged me just before 7 p.m. to say she got dressed, ready, and drove down here, only to realise that she was not just a bit early, she was a day early. She'd messaged me at 7 o'clock yesterday. How's the irony? She said that she's actually on an SES course tonight, so that's why she can't make it. So, but I have to give Scotty kudos for getting me to do this talk. Thanks, Scotty. Finally, thank you all for being such a fantastic audience. You've been amazing, and remember, always pack more Tim Tams because they can save your life too.